What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are finally back on the channel with some guns. Now today we're going to be talking about probably nowadays one of the most controversial guns on the market, and for demonstration's sakes we got two of them. Now the AR-15 right now is probably one of the most controversial guns on the market, just after its recent use in a couple of shootings at some schools. But besides that, as being possibly one of the best sporting arms that we have right now, we're going to dive into what makes these things so good and why honestly everybody needs one. Nobody has to be scared. Alright guys, let's dive into this video. Alright guys, so as we get to look into the AR-15s, yes, I did change the upper on this. I'll explain more about that part later in the video. But anyway, we're going to disprove some myths on the AR-15. First one being that AR stands for assault rifle. No, it does not. It stands for Armor Light Rifle, which is the company that pretty much originated the AR-15, which is just a civilianized version of an M16 and M4 and things of that nature. Myth 2, they're not for hunting. Technically nowadays that's false. A lot of states in the US have now legalized these for hunting, but most of them have kept it away from their big game categories because of people doing poaching and spray and pray, just kind of hoping that they can get a shot on an animal. Especially wounding deer and elk and things of that nature, but they're typically only used for varmints like coyotes, groundhogs, things like that. Alright, let's move on. Myth 3, they're weapons of war. You can do your research as much as I have, because I come from a military family. I know a lot of stuff with military weapons and things like that. AR-15s were never issued, and nor will they ever be, because honestly they're not that good. When you compare them to an M16 and M4, let me see, I think there's a lot of submodels, honestly. But an AR-15 would not hold up in today's combat situations, and like I said, it's just a civilianized M16. They're myth 4. They're choice weapons for mass shooters. Yes, they have been used in mass shootings, but they're not necessarily a weapon of choice. A lot of times mass shootings involve guns that are easy to obtain, which could be a pistol, which you can get on the street corner. You can steal one from a parent or anything like that. You can steal guns like that. But a lot of times mass shootings involve pistols, shotguns, and things like that. There's a very small percentage that are actually used, or where an AR-15 is actually used. Myth 5. You can convert these into fully automatic. Technically, no. These are not made to go fully automatic, and honestly, if you use them in the semi-automatic form that they are, if you get to a certain rate of fire and a certain level of heat, these guns will jam in a heartbeat. They are not meant for automatic use, and honestly you would have to buy an M16 or an M4 at that point, because it's the only thing that's going to hold up to the high heat and high rate of fire that you cannot obtain with these. And that's going to roll into another myth, that these can shoot 700 rounds a minute. No. There is, honestly, I don't know if there's anybody I've ever seen shoot one fast enough at semi-automatic to beat that, just because the guns are not really meant to fire at that fast of a rate. They are semi-automatic, which means just like 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, 4 shot. They're not meant to just be rapidly fired like that. These guns will heat up and they will jam, like I said earlier, with the fully automatic aspect. Final myth on AR-15s is use for self-defense. Yes, they can be used for self-defense. Are they common? I'm not actually 100% sure if they're a very commonly used form of self-defense in the home. The things that do make them nice for that, though, is a lot of times you can make them smaller, you can make them a little bit lighter. I did get this set up here as my original AR, and it was made to defend my home. If you make them short, they're very easy to maneuver around if you're clearing your house. Also, the recoil system that's in these guns makes them incredibly easy to fire versus, say, a shotgun and things like that. Is if you do put a 30-round magazine in these, that's 30 shots to deter a attacker, a robber, anything like that. But if you're looking at it versus, say, a shotgun, you only have, say, 5 shots until the gun is empty. Then you have to reload, which that gives a possible attacker the opportunity to attack you and attack your family. But if you have something like this, it gives you plenty of shots in order to deter any home invader or things of that nature. All right, guys, so now that we've broken a few myths about the AR-15s, and maybe some people can wipe the sweat off their brow, I'm not going to diss on the AR-15 and why it should be banned or anything like that. We're going to roll into what makes these guns possibly one of the best sporting arms on our market today. So what we're going to do here is when you pull these pins out, well, before I get too far into that, go ahead and you want to make sure that the bolt carrier is forward, so we're going to let that go. All right, so now that that's forward, we're going to go ahead, pull this rear pin, and the gun will fold in half. Now what we're going to do here, since I said about the bolt carrier and the charging handle, is you're going to pull the bolt carrier out of the back. So what this is going to do is pull, this is your bolt, and this is your charging handle. Now what we're going to do then is press the second pin right here at the top, and that's going to allow you to disconnect that barrel with that optic. We're going to go ahead and sit it off to the side. And then you're left with the lower, which has your trigger assembly and your magazine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this upper, go ahead, just line up the holes again, push your pin through, so now she's attached. Then we're going to go ahead, put your charging handle in, along with your bolt carrier group. Oh, come on, work with me here. Now that that is clicked in place, go ahead and fold it up, push the pin back, and now we have a gun fully set up and ready to go for some coyote hunting and things of that nature. So that's one thing that makes these guns very nice, is how versatile they are with that. But now we're going to look into a couple other things, because this gun here... Alright guys, so now the thing is, the AR-15 is very versatile with being able to change. And the other thing too that makes it nice is when you're doing that kind of conversion of just changing the uppers to a different lower, there's also another factor, which is if you have different calibers. Typically then when you go with different calibers is whenever you break these open, there's what's known as a buffer tube and a buffer spring. Now what that is here in the stock, there is a spring that goes the whole way through this tube, and it soaks up the recoil as the gun is fired. Now for a 5.56 or 223, the spring is rated for that caliber of firearm. Now if you do a 308, which is an AR-10, if you do a 300 blackout, you're going to want to upgrade that spring assembly so that way it can take the extra recoil for that. So that's one other thing too, is you can also have different calibers on the same lower if you have the proper internals to slightly upgrade it from in between changes, especially too for a competition shooter. If you're in a competition where you're going to be doing shots within 100 yards, maybe stick with the 223. But if you know you're going to be shooting 400, 500 yards, maybe more, maybe you want to have one for 308 or 224 Valkyrie, 6.5 Creedmoor, things like that. All you have to do is upgrade the buffer. The trigger mechanism and everything should hold up, and then you just got to change out your upper with a different bolt carrier group, because the same bolt carrier is not going to work, at least from what I know. Maybe somebody might prove me wrong, but that's one other thing that makes these very versatile. But the other thing that makes them nice is they're customizable. I mean, so we're going to take a look at this. My coyote hunting rifle is this one here. I put a long bull barrel, 22 inches. It's fluted, so it has these nice little spiral cuts in the side. I did a kind of a hollowed out handrail, which you can see all the holes and things like that are in it. So it kind of lets air get to the barrel, so that way if I ever am doing competition shooting for long distance or things like that, and the gun does happen to heat up, not having the grip, this fore-end grip that tight to the barrel, can allow it to expose of heat, so that way it doesn't overheat the gun. But then too is you can have these a lot more adjusting. You can get a different type of stock. You can get a solid stock, which I've seen people do. You can get different grips. The barrel, you can get different bolt carrier grips. You can get different finish. You can get different colors, which also goes with the finish, and things like that. And then we'll look at the other one, and then we go to something like this: shorter barrel, different barrel material, different thread, or different, not thread, a different rifling on this, which this is a 1 8 twist and that is a 1 7 twist. Now then we're going to go to the other one, which this one is built for coyote hunting and things like that. This one has an oversized grip for a little bit meatier of a hand, and honestly to me this gives you a way better grip on the gun versus anything else. Now the other one with this is a what do I want to say? It has a different grip, or a different fore-end grip. It also has a different barrel, but it is still a bull barrel, so it helps suck up that recoil. But it also has a muzzle brake, which helps divert some of the gases to again help with recoil. It has a different stock, and like I said, they're very easily customized, and that's pretty much it. I mean, these guns, people do a lot of work to them, and you can honestly build one cheaper than you can buy one and then modify it yourself, which honestly I'd recommend building one if you happen to be wanting to. And another thing too, to go with this real quick before we get too much further, is that milled out lower that we did a few weeks ago. We will be getting back to that just once we get some of the internals, because like I said, that is my buddy's gun that we are building, and he just has to get the internals put together, and then we'll be field testing it. So stay tuned for that. But going more on to these, that's pretty much it. I mean, granted, these aren't the bottom ends of, or the bottom line of customizing, is that's all you can do. These things are infinite on the amount of customization you can do to these. But, I mean, that might honestly wrap it up for the AR-15. I mean, they're very versatile with being able to change out an upper, so that means you can change your barrel length, you can change your caliber, and you can modify the gun in a quick few seconds for any type of shooting scenario, whether it's self-defense or home defense versus going hunting or going to the range and just having fun. The customization is endless on these guns, and also the caliber range is actually kind of endless. I mean, I've seen 22 conversions, I've seen 223, 5.56, 308, 7.62. I've seen an AR-47, which shoots the, what is it, 7.62 by 39, which I believe is the AK round. I've also seen 9mm, 45, 300 Blackout, 6.5 Creedmoor. Man, guys, these calibers can range so much. I mean, granted, these are only the 5.56 conversions that I have here, but it's just 5.56 is typically your standard, and honestly, it's the cheapest round you can get for them besides a 22. But out of that might actually really wrap it up. There's a wide variety of calibers, customization is endless, your versatility on different shooting scenarios is unlimited, and they're just simple guns. Like I said, with breaking it down, there's only 3 main parts to these guns unless you really break it down. But if you're doing a standard field strip, you're gonna pull the pin on the rear again, break it open, and then all you have to worry about for cleaning is your bolt carrier group, your charging handle, your lower, and your upper. And that's pretty much it. These guns break down into 4 main components. I mean, yes, there are a lot more components in this gun, but if you're just doing your standard cleaning, that's it. They're very simply constructed, and honestly, the AR-15 to me has always been one of the best sporting rifles, and it doesn't deserve the reputation that it's been getting by people saying that it's a killer weapon things like that. It was never designed for that. Granted, yes, it has been involved in some school shootings, but those are just people that are using it for the wrong purpose. And that happens with any type of inanimate object. There's always going to be that person that uses it the way it's not intended. So alright guys, I really do hope that you liked this video. If you do, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. We'll be hitting the range with this because this is the setup that I built for coyote hunting. I never got to sight this in properly yet. I did have that issue with the electronic bore sighter got jammed in the gun. That was my fault. I let the charging handle run itself home and it locked up with that in the chamber. But anyway, we're going to be going to the range to field test this. And also, since this one is the newest edition, we're going to go test this girl out too. Me and my dad picked this up, I believe it was yesterday. And we're going to go ahead and go test those, and we're just going to test out different builds and see what kind of accuracy they get and other more field tests. If you guys want to see a more in-depth strip and cleaning of these guns, please go ahead and drop some comments down below. Let me know, and I will take a full in-depth breakdown on these weapons. And if you want to know more about building them, please, like I said, drop a comment down below. And as always, guys, I hope you like this video. If it's informational to you and it helps you pick your next AR or pick whether or not you love or hate the AR-15. So, alright guys, like I said, I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to hit subscribe, along with the little bell next to the subscription to give you notifications on the newest uploads. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the717outlaw, and I also have a Facebook page, same thing, the717outlaw, where we will be doing discussion pages and things like that, so I can figure out what you guys want from me, what kind of videos you would prefer, and things of that nature. Also, too, is I want to use it to help with if I go to an event or if I plan an event that maybe I don't want to be publicized through all of the internet, just a quick little social gathering. I can go ahead and post it on there so you guys can get it. Especially, too, if I forget to say it in a video, it'll be on there. So, alright, guys, I will see you on the next upload. Remember, be safe, shoot straight, have fun. I'll see you on the next one, and hopefully we'll be field testing the AR-15. Alright guys,